Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Well, great day wherever you are. My name is Ahyoka Yeshua, and I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm so excited to be here to share my story. Now, for me, my story started so many years ago because this is the day that I found out that my name was Joey.
Hey.
Hey.
So there is something happening with our connection.
Okay.
All of a sudden, your picture quality is very, very poor. It's so grainy. What happened there?
I didn't do anything. Let me try to connect to my actual personal hotspot.
Okay, try that.
Yeah. Because I'm in a place that has good internet. I don't know. Okay.
But the picture completely changed from when we started. When I was talking to you earlier, it was nice and clear. And then it just changed. Can you see me clearly?
Yes, I can see you clearly. I know there was a moment that you were freezing and then that stopped. Okay, so let me connect to my.
Technology is great when it works, when it doesn't.
Yeah. How's that? Is that better?
That is better, but still quite. Oh, no. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
a big difference. To my phone. Okay.
All right. So start at the top, and I will play that little video again. So when I edit it, it's all nice and in one place. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Right.
My name is Ahyoka Yeshua, and I am based here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am so glad to be here to share with you the day that I realized I was a kangaroo. Now, my name is Joey in this case, right? And no, I'm not a little crazy, but you'll understand once I tell you this story too. I'll never forget. It was December 23rd, and I had just put my baby down to sleep and was about to walk out for some much needed mommy time when she asked me a question. Now, luckily, it wasn't the question, but she asked me if I would read her a story. Now, I had a choice. Do I read a story or do I go have some much needed mommy time? And I decided to read a story. So I climbed into her little toddler bed, drew her in close. I could feel the fuzziness of her pink and purple polka dot pajamas, feel the gentleness of her skin. I could smell the coconut in her hair and feel her breath upon my chest as she nestled in so close. And in that moment, I started to read her story called Pouch. Now, Pouch is a story of a baby kangaroo who wanted to go on an adventure. And this day, he looked up and asked his mom if he could go into the forest. And she said yes. So he jumped out the pouch and hopped 2 times into the forest and came across a creature and asked, "Who are you?" And the creature said, "Bzz, bee." And he yelled, "Pouch!" and ran as fast as he could and dove back into his mother's pouch. And she waited a little bit, looked down at him. He looked up at her big, beautiful brown eyes, and she said, "Are you ready to come out now?" And he shook his head, yes. And this time he jumped 5 hops into the forest, past bee, and came to a new creature called bird. And he asked, "Who are you?" And he said, "Bird." And he yelled, "Pouch!" and ran as fast as he can and dove back into his mother's pouch. Now, me, I would have said, "You're either in or you're out. You're not going to keep doing this." But she was so patient with him and asked again, "Are you ready to come out now?" And he stuck his head out, looked around, and said yes. And this time he hopped 10 times into the forest, past bee, past bird, until he came across another kangaroo. And they looked at each other and he said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Kangaroo." And they both turned and said, "Pow!" and stopped. And then looked at each other and said, "You were afraid of me too?" And the mothers came and said, "Pouch?" And they said no and jumped into the forest together. When I finished reading that story, streams were pouring down my eyes. I was crying because I realized in that moment I was Joey. For so long, I had been living in the pouch, in the comfort zone, afraid of who I truly was, not knowing who I was. So afraid that even when I came to know myself, I couldn't recognize my own self. And that's because so long ago, I was sexually molested, by another girl and lost my identity and did not know who I was. And years were planted of seeds of low self-esteem, low self-worth, doubt, not loving myself, not understanding who I was or my identity. It impacted me as a wife, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. I had lost my voice and lost my identity all at the same time. And it wasn't until I was 35 that I recognized that I was the character in the story. When I recognized that I truly had a voice to speak. And I had to wrestle with all of this in this moment of understanding that I was Joey. And I no longer wanted to be afraid of who I was. Nor longer did I want to have low self-esteem or self-worth or doubt, or wonder if I was good enough as a wife or as a mom or an entrepreneur, just riddled with this guilt, these negative core beliefs that I had planted in my life that I thought were my truth. These negative core beliefs, these stories, these tainted seeds that I had planted in this soil, this rich soil that I had to uproot. And that's why I wanted to leave you with this framework that helped me and it allowed me to really understand who I was, become the woman that I was created to be, designed to be, and the impact I was called to have on the world. So I want to leave this with you. It's called uproot. First, you have to unlock your identity. And in order to do that, you follow these next few steps because this allows you to understand truly who you are. I want you to write down everything about you, everything, because your identity is there. And especially if you go back to when you were a child, you will start to see traits of who you truly are. So that's the you. To unlock your identity, you have to just pour it out and write it down. Then you have to P. You have to give yourself permission to release. So you have to prepare the environment, prepare your heart, prepare your mind. And you do that just by being in a still place, taking deep breaths and preparing yourself and say, I give you permission to no longer be who you were. I give you permission to now stand in your glory. I give you permission to now stand in your authority. And once you do that, you're going to reorganize and release. You're going to write down all of these stories that you've been telling yourself, and you're going to release them. Thank you for being the person who protected me, but I no longer need you. I release self-doubt. I release low self-esteem. You served me, but you no longer do. And once you organize all those things into these areas that you see of core beliefs, now you own your authority and your leadership in those areas, and you rewrite your story. And once you rewrite your story, now you can thrive. And that is how you uproot to become who you were truly called and created to be.
Wow, what an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing. It's incredible when I meet women who have gone through challenges themselves, but
Mhm.
who have managed to use those challenges not just to enhance their own lives, but to enhance other women's lives as well.
Yes.
So, what did success look like to you before you understood this inner work?
Oh, that was such a tainted vision of success. I constantly chased what I thought would make me successful, which was money and power. See, I grew up with all boys, so I watched the men in my family. And it's different, I come to realize, for women in power versus men in power. And it
Yes.
got to the point that when I chased the success, my family suffered,
Mm,
especially my children. They would come down. If I was in a meeting, they would have to wait until I fed them because, in my mind, this was more valuable. This was more important because if I could just do this, then I would be successful.
yeah.
Excuse me. Once I realized that my definition of success was built upon somebody else's and that it
Mhm.
didn't really serve who I was, I had to start to change. And when I put my family first, when I put my husband first, my children first, then I truly started to become fulfilled. As a wife, as a mom, I got joy back into my life and then in business too.
Now, you speak about unresolved trauma shaping leadership.
Mhm.
What did that look like in your own life?
Mm. It looked like people seeing me when I could not see myself.
Mhm.
So people would come in and say, Ayoka runs things, she does this. And I always questioned if it was true. I couldn't believe what they were saying. So instead of stepping up to the plate for opportunities to go after new business, I would shrink. Instead of speaking my voice in opportunities for ideas or creative sessions, I would lower myself. And I always put everybody else above me and before me because I didn't think I had value to bring. Even though everybody else truly did and saw it, it just took
Mm.
many years for me to see it for myself.
Yeah, it's interesting that some people become mirrors that are
Mm,
reflecting to you who you are when you can't see yourself for what you truly are.
yes.
That's really interesting. So, what was the hardest pattern that you had to confront and own?
Oh, goodness. I feel like there were many, but I would say, and I'm still working on this, and this is putting myself first. Um, because of what happened to me, I had told myself this lie that I didn't matter, right? That everybody else was more important. And I have
Yeah.
such a servant's heart that I love to serve. So everybody's vision is more important. Everybody's
Mm.
situation is more important. And I was just like, well, I'm serving, so I'm good. And then I had to realize, no, I'm not. And even today, I went and treated myself to something I've never done. And I was like, it's okay to put yourself first. So even as wives, as mothers, as business owners, sometimes, especially if you have a servant heart, you have a tendency to put others before you. And I've had to learn that it's okay if you're first. That doesn't mean they're less, because if you're not good, they're not going to be
Not
good.
good. That is so true. It's that whole story of putting the oxygen tank on you first, right?
Yes.
Yeah. As women, we find that very, very difficult to do. So, how did your healing change the way that you show up as a mother?
Mm. I was not as angry. I was not as resentful. The
Mhm.
joy of motherhood was stripped out of my life, and I had to find a way to bring it back where it
Yeah.
wasn't, because as we know as moms, it never ends. You can't push them back in once they come out, like they're not going anywhere. So learning how to do with them is what I had to realize, not
Wow.
exclude them, include them, because they are our legacy, and that
Yeah.
is very important. So once I started the healing, then I started to realize my triggers and even how my children trigger me. So I had to learn how to sometimes just walk away, how to hug them instead of fuss because they're
Mm.
being triggered. And I was able to teach them as well because we have 3 children, 16, 15, and a 7-year-old, how to deal with one another. So it's really taught me so I can create an environment that's healthier for them so that they
Yeah.
can then create an environment that will be healthier for their children to grow up in for generations to come.
Yeah, then you've broken that generational curse, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I
And
love it.
interesting enough, it wasn't like I grew up in a household with that, but
Yeah.
because of the trauma in that environment in particular, because I was 10, it cultivated something inside of me that was never meant to be there. And
Mm.
that's what led to becoming this false identity and not really knowing myself or who I was.
Yeah, and that generational healing that happens when you heal, you're not
Mhm.
just healing those who are coming, but you're healing the generation behind as well.
So
That is
true.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, heal the mom, heal the home is powerful. What does that really mean in practice?
Hmm. That means that when you are recognizing those negative core beliefs, when you are taking the time to ask yourself, why? Why
Mhm.
am I the way that I am? And is that my truth? When you
Yes.
do the work and uproot those seeds, because I talk about it in my book, Flourish, Replanting Seeds of Purpose, how these seeds have become tainted. And if we
Yeah.
don't do the work, we just reproduce GMO seeds, right? We
Mhm.
just reproduce from generation to generation to generation. But when we
Yes.
heal the mom, we heal the home. So when the mother stops and say, why am I this way? Is it because of what happened to my mother? Like, what are the patterns, like you mentioned earlier, right? What can I see? Is this who I want to be? And if the answer is
Mhm.
no, mourn her. I had to learn how to mourn the old me, the old way, and embrace the new. And it's a step by step by step process. But when the mother heals, because she is the thermostat for the home, she is such a powerful position because when we're at peace, the house is in peace. When we have joy, the children have joy. When we bring chaos, oh, best believe there's going to be chaos. So when the mom is healed, the home is healed. And you just got to
Yeah,
do it bit by bit.
that's just amazing.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So, why do you believe so many high achieving women still emotionally struggle?
Mm. I think in some aspect in that world, we have to be a certain way, right? Vulnerability isn't always embraced because it's looked at as a sign of weakness, especially
Yeah.
if you're in a male dominated arena. The femininity, the softness, the vulnerability is shunned upon. So we have to put on this mask. We have to be a certain way. And then
Yeah.
when we go home, depending on your home environment, you may still have to carry that. So
Yes.
finding that safe space where I can just be, whether that's breakdown crying, whether that's screaming, whether that's releasing the fact that you're angry and being honest with your emotions is what we
Mhm.
really need as women. Because when we have that, now we can dissect, okay, well, what's really going on? Am I really mad at my husband, or is it I'm triggered by something else? Or am
Mhm.
I insecure? Like, what is it that allows me to then really embrace the wholeness of who I am and heal going forward? So I think it's a lot of times we just don't have that place for our voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. There's so much work to be done. But what are we getting wrong about balance as women?
Mm, I am so glad you add that because one of the pillars that I fully believe in and that I teach other women is that to live life in rotation because balance is a myth. It's a lie they fed us for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's 50-50. And what that looks like is okay, if I'm being a mom, I'm honed in 100%. I'm turning that down to being a mom right then and there. And you have 100% of me. I'm intentional. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
multitask and everything. And when that time has passed, now I'm turning the dial maybe to being a wife, or now I'm turning the dial to being a business owner and giving it all I got. But when I live life in rotation, it allows an ease of ebb and flow. Because some days, because I'm a caregiver as well, I take care of my mom with my husband and my children. So some
Wow.
days there is no business. It might only be 5 minutes. And I've had to learn, and it's still a process, to be
Yes.
honest, how to be okay with that. Like, I got one thing done a day, and you know what? That's enough, because today I needed to be more at home, or today I needed to be more present as a wife, or I need to be
Yes.
more present as a mom. And you'll feel more fulfilled and less mommy guilt.
Hmm. Yeah, that mommy guilt is a difficult one to get over.
Ooh,
It is
yes.
not easy. Wow. This is just amazing. So let's now go to your uproot framework.
Mhm.
I want you to walk us through it again
Yes.
and give us examples with each one on how to do that and how
Okay.
women start today.
Okay. Perfect. So with uproot, the U stands for unlock your identity. And the best way to unlock your identity is to really write down everything about you. And this may sound strange, but I really want you to take a moment, center yourself, and go back to when you were a child. What traits did you see? So, for example, when I was little, I always had a things to do list. At 5, I got to lay out my clothes, I got to do this, I got to do that. And that carried over as a strategist. I'm always organizing, I'm always planning. That creativity was there in the beginning. It didn't go anywhere. So when you start to write down everything, what you love about yourself, what you love to do, hobbies, the whole nine, you start to see a thread of who your identity is and who you truly are, right? So this helps you to unlock your identity, because sometimes we forget because we put all these titles upon who we are. So when you remove the titles, and who are you truly at the core? I'm a woman that's a giver. I'm a woman who loves to dance, right? No titles allowed, none whatsoever. You'll start to see who you truly are. Then, after you have the you, right, you're going to unlock your identity. You're going to write down who you are. Now, you want to give, this is the P, you're going to prepare and give yourself permission. Preparing means putting on some soaking music or whatever relaxes you and taking 3 deep breaths. You're going to breathe in through your nose, and your stomach should expand. And then out through your mouth, and your stomach should rise to your back almost. And you're going to do that 3 times. And every time you do that, you should feel your body become more and more relaxed. So that is preparing the environment, preparing your body. And when you do that, now you're giving yourself permission. So you put your hand on your chest or whatever makes you comfortable, and you say, I give you permission to release, whether that's crying, screaming, maybe you might have to go to the bathroom, whatever your body needs to do to release, because so much trauma is locked into our cells, our membrane, into our posture, into our structure, to our hips. So we have to give ourselves permission. And so we say, I give you permission to release. I give you permission to receive what is about to come forth. I give you permission to whatever comes to your mind. So that's the P. Okay. Then we're going to R. Now, with R, what we want to do is we want to recognize and release. I said reorganize, but it's actually recognize. And what does that mean? We are recognizing the thoughts that are coming to our mind. So during that time, you might hear thoughts, you're not good enough. It's those old negative voices, right? Or you might hear positive things, but recognize them and then release. So if it's negative, then you're going to say, so for example, when I thought I wasn't good enough, I recognize that thought comes to mind. You're not good enough. What are you doing over here? Who do you think you are? Why are you speaking in front of all these women? And then I'm going to release. I release this negative thought that I'm not good enough. You served me then. You no longer serve me. Thank you for your service. And you do that for each one, because again, you're giving your body permission to release. But first, we have to recognize what's coming, and then we have to release it. Okay. Then we go with O. Once we do the first O, which is organize. See, a lot of your thoughts fall into about 3 to 4 different categories as core beliefs. It's trust, wholeness, and love. And with those categories, you replay certain stories again and again, negative in most cases, that fall into one of those categories. So you're going to write down your thoughts to see which category they fall into. Is this a category that deals with trust? Is this a category that deals with self-worth? Is this a category that deals with love? And in doing so, you'll see the pattern. Because once we organize these thoughts, now we're going to take authority over our new identity and we're going to own it. So that means that I start to script. I start to write the exact opposite of what I've been telling myself because I need to see a new story. I need to hear a new story. I need to have a new ending. So let's go back to the example of the negative self-talk, right? With the thought that I'm not good enough. So now I'm going to write a new story and I'm going to say, I am so amazing. When I stepped on that stage and gave the framework for Uproot, women were transformed. Their lives were transformed. I started to receive email and mail from thousands of women all over the world, letting me know how this set them free. So now I'm giving myself a new story of why I am good enough. Because I'm good enough just because I'm here, first and foremost. But this is what you do with every negative thought that comes and you put it into the category. Now you're writing a new story around that category, whether it's love or trust or self-worth. And then the last is the T, which is thrive. Now you could truly stand in your identity and trust yourself. You could trust your thoughts. You could trust your posture. You could trust your body because your body has unlocked your identity. It has given itself permission because you prepared an environment for it to be safe. It can now recognize and release what's been holding you back. It can now organize the thoughts into the categories to see the pattern. Then it can own its new story by creating the new story. And now we can thrive. We can really live in who we were originally designed and created to be. As we all started off as seeds with everything we needed already in us. And now it's just a matter of cultivating this environment, this safe space to become who we were truly created to be.
I absolutely love it. And the reminder that we are seeds is pivotal.
Yes.
That we just have to keep watering that seed until it blossoms and comes to fruition, right? But a lot of
Yes.
times we forget our own potential. We forget to water who we are so that we
Mm.
can flourish. So many nuggets in this framework. I absolutely love it. So how does healing directly impact leadership and decision making?
That is a good one. When you walk in healing, now one of the things that I've noticed with me was decision making, right? I couldn't trust my own decisions. I always second guess and question, am I right? Am I going to fail? Am I going to make a mistake? Versus just failing forward. Okay, you made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Just
Yeah.
fix it, right? But for me, it was debilitating. And I couldn't really fully operate in my greatness because I always question, am I making the right decision? Well, that's just the layer, right? When you get to the root of that, it was the aspect of, am I good enough? Because that was one of my faulty core beliefs that I didn't trust my own decisions. So that then hindered being a better leader because I
Okay.
couldn't move fast enough in my decision making. That's just one example.
Wow. I'm going to end with two questions that are a bit of a thought experiment. And the first one, I'm going to teleport you back to the
Okay.
younger you, the young woman who went into the world of business, who went into leadership. If I could take you back to have a conversation with the younger you, and you went back and gave her 3 nuggets of wisdom,
Mm.
based on what life has taught you up until this point, what will those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
Ooh, that's such a good one. The first one would be your voice matters. You matter. You may not understand it now, and it doesn't feel like it, but the world is waiting to hear what you have to say because you have so many lives to impact. That would be the first one. The second one is never stop asking the questions. Yes, there was that instant when you felt shut down and that your voice didn't matter, but never stop asking the questions because that's actually a superpower of yours. That's part of who you were designed and created to be because it allows you to see things and the details that others cannot. And the last one would be success is what you make it. Success is the meaning that you give to it. So, what brings you joy is truly success. Because at the end of the day, your happiness matters above all other things. And through the power that you have within you, this is possible.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful. Last question. I'm going to teleport you into the future this time.
Mm.
And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. She's sitting in her rocking chair with more energy. You'll be dancing on a dance floor somewhere. But
You
if
you
I,
know me very well.
your energy is bouncing all the way to Australia. So, yes. But if I could take you into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And let me tell you why I like asking women this question. A lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already there. She's that
Mm.
stage you were talking about earlier, right? We're born with all of the knowings to live this life to the full, but we forget.
Yes.
And we look outside of ourselves for answers, for solutions, instead of going within to tune into that energy. You seem to have done it very beautifully. She is guiding you. You hear her. She prompts you. You act. What will you say to your wise woman when you finally meet her at the age of 90?
Mm. You got the best questions, I swear. I would say thank you. Thank you for saying yes, finally. Thank you for believing yourself. Thank you for believing who the Most High created you to be and the promises He had for you. Thank you for living outside the box and becoming something far greater than you ever thought or imagined. Thank you for no longer being afraid of your greatness and who you were and who you are. Thank you for changing generations and lives upon lives for generations and generations to come. Thank you for healing. Because if you never healed, you could never fully step into the greatness that you were created to be because what you went through allowed you to help others go through.
Oh, wow. Yeah, my grandmother used to say that everything you go through in life, every challenge, if it doesn't kill you, you become a teacher.
Mm,
Went through it for a reason so you can empower someone else. This
yes.
is exactly what you're doing with your work. Now, I know you've got a gift for our audience.
Yes.
What can we get from you?
Well, if they go to the website that's below, IamAyoka.com, and just fill in their information, they are actually going to get a breath break audio that I curated especially for moms, for entrepreneurs, and it allows them to take that moment to just sit and breathe through this guided experience. So it is, I'm really excited about it because I've had people tell me how it just really soothed them and relax them and allow them to be reminded of who they are. So,
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for this interview. I feel really
thank you
honored
for having me.
and to share you with our community. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. I know we had a friend of mine, Nigel, out in the Netherlands or Austria. Nigel, it's good to see you online. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for this interview.
Thank
And I
you.
want to remind our listeners that the Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are needing that support, go onto Ahyoka's website, Download that breath work, connect with her, be empowered by an expert who can help take you to where you're trying to go. Or if you know another woman who's feeling stuck, who's struggling with leadership, tag her on this video, share this on your social media, help this video go out to as many women as possible. So Nigel is saying he's in Austria. Good to see you, Nigel. He always tunes into her story. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Nigel.
I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, Nigel, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you so much, Ahyoka. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.